Hey, what's going on, everybody on YouTube? Steve here, Raiken Profit, RaikenProfit.com. Hopefully, you guys are having an amazing day so far. So, as you can see, the title of this video is Use Clothing Mastery. Use Clothing Mastery. Should I build the course? So, I want to come to you guys and make this video and express an idea that I had recently because I get a lot of people messaging me, Facebook, YouTube. I meet a lot of resellers in real life. We actually just had a Connecticut meetup recently, and I get a lot of people asking various questions about business, right? From Amazon to eBay to local selling to a whole bunch of different things. And I get a lot of people asking questions about selling clothing, whether it's, how to measure clothing or the best brands to buy and sell, or, selling limits or this and that. There's a million different things that come into the equation when it comes to any part of, an Amazon or an eBay or a clothing business. And, I interact with a lot of people, and a lot of people need help. A lot of people have questions. A lot of people, especially with clothing, need help. And the sad thing is there's really nothing on the market right now. If you were to look for a course, if you were to look for an ebook, if you were to look for a program, a step-by-step course about how to sell clothing on eBay, it just doesn't exist on the market. And, a lot of people will say, well, Steve, all the information's online. You can look up how to measure clothing. You can look up, the best brands. You can look up this, you can look up that. But the problem is I've noticed everything's scattered. It's unorganized. Stuff's outdated. And a lot of people, including myself, when I start a new business, I'm looking for something that I could follow, a blueprint, step by step. So I've had the idea. I've had a lot of people ask me to build it. And I just want to come to you guys and ask you, what do you think? Should I build an overarching, over-encompassing course that shares everything that I've learned over the last 4 years from A to Z? And I've actually got some notes down of some ideas that I brainstormed. Setting up your eBay account, right? Basic supplies and equipment you will need for, your eBay business, bookkeeping, taxes, entity structure, dealing with seller limits, how to organize your inventory, how to create an inventory system, analyzing clothing that you should buy and sell, determining if a deal is a good or a bad deal, how to inspect clothing, listing your clothing items on eBay, eBay Photography 101, how to measure clothing, should you wash clothing? I mean, the list goes on and on. I literally have about 100 ideas. I'm not going to go through each and every one of them, but there's so many things out there. And, looking at the marketplace, there's nothing out there. There is no program. So I want to come to you guys and ask you, what do you think? Should I build the course? Because, I'm a busy guy. I have a million things that I'm doing right now. And I don't want to, build something if people don't want it, if it's not really a need for the marketplace. So I figured what's better than just coming straight to you guys and asking you, do you want me to build it? So do me a big favor. If you're interested in helping me out with this idea, go down into the description, and there's actually a link right down there. It's a Google form, and just fill it out. There's about 4 or 5 questions. It'll take maybe 30 seconds to fill out, pretty much asking you a couple questions about what's your biggest problems with clothing, what are your biggest challenges, if you'd be interested in the course. And there's a couple different questions. So check that out. I'm actually looking at my laptop right here because I've got the actual survey open right now. What are your biggest challenges? Picking the right brand, shipping clothing, measuring items, photography, listing, finding profitable items, staying motivated, bookkeeping, taxes, legalities, keeping track of inventory, how to price items, how to get more feedback. So if you could do me a big favor, check out the link in the description. And I want to say to you guys, clothing, if it wasn't for starting a clothing business, over 4 years ago, there's probably a good chance that I'd still be delivering pizzas, working at the Cracker Barrel. I was working at Toys R Us, I was working at gas stations, and clothing, allowed me to get into this reseller game. Clothing opened up a lot of doors for me. If it wasn't for clothing, I never would have learned about, all the other businesses out there, from local selling to Amazon FBA to Kindle publishing. This YouTube channel came about because of clothing, and, I was selling bikes on Craigslist, which those kind of connected in a sense. I was doing clothing and I was selling bikes at first, but I'm forever indebted, to eBay and clothing, because if it wasn't for that, I mean, who knows where I'd be. And I feel like a lot of people, when you get started with reselling or business, there's something that kind of sparks you, that gets you going, that gets you excited, that, you start to have that initial success, and you say to yourself, wow, like, this actually works. I could actually make money. And I remember, when I had first gotten started reselling, my parents, I was living at home, my parents, I was broke. I didn't have any money. And, they walked into my bedroom one time. There was like 200 or 300 pieces of clothing. And they asked me, like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? Is this an actual business? Can you really make money? And it was the first time in my life, probably within like 3 months of doing clothing, that I was actually saving money, that I had cash flow coming in. I had constant sales coming, and money coming in. It was just, I never would have imagined, if I never would have known about, the reselling community and learned from a lot of amazing people out there about clothing, I would have never known that, clothing had, potential and you could actually make money from it. But, clothing is a great opportunity. Right now I use clothing mostly as a supplement. There was a time where, clothing was my only thing that I went out and purchased. Now, I invest in a whole bunch of various types of products, plus I'm on multiple platforms now. So clothing is just kind of like, I guess, a tool in the tool shed for me. If I go out and I'm looking for video games, I'm looking for clothing, I'm looking for puzzles, I'm looking for, new in the box stuff, electronics, bicycles. So yeah, I'd really appreciate it. I'm going to jump into the comments and see what you folks are saying right now. Looks like we got 60 people in the house. So give it a thumbs up, guys, if you are enjoying this. And yeah, I just want to come to you guys, straight up to see what your thoughts were. So let me take a look at some of the comments. I got a laptop over here. If you see me looking over the left side of the screen, let's shout some people out. Resell Hustler says absolutely. Clear and Clutter for Clarity saying hello. What's up, DJ? Crystal, good to see you, Crystal. Clear and Clutter for Clarity says, I was just watching another one of your videos. I appreciate that. What's up, Bobby Moons? So Dwight says, yes, build the course. Seattle Seller says, hello. Another reason, too, that I was considering building the course, and it was almost like a hidden agenda just for myself. Like if I built the course, I would probably give it to my future employee that I hire for my clothing business and just say, hey, go through this course and yeah, take it from there. So that would be pretty cool as well. And for anyone, if I did build the course, if you were ever to hire an employee or you wanted to hire a sourcer or someone for your business, you could literally hand them over the course. Like I literally want to build a blueprint, like a manual, right? And it's not going to be super sophisticated. My initial idea was to create maybe a course that was maybe like 40 or 50 videos that just covered everything from step 1 to step 50, answered all the questions that you needed to know, got you over all the hurdles and challenges, because at the end of the day, running a clothing business and learning how to make money with clothing, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. But you wouldn't believe how many people I meet up with locally. There's a lot of local resellers I engage with, and I hold meetups. They sell clothing. People get into clothing and they sell clothing, and they have no clue what they're doing. And I see them picking up these brands, and I'm thinking to myself, you're going to get burnt. So many people, they think that they know what they're doing with clothing, but there's such, go look at people like Ronnie Hart, right? Go look at people like Endless Entrepreneurs or Prof Sales. They know what they're doing. If you've ever taken a look at my sales, I know what I'm doing. But there's so many people who they sell clothes and they're messing with like these $5, $7, $8 items, which is fine if you've got employees. But there's so many items out there that can make you really, really good money. So what happened to my Amazon account? Nothing happened to my Amazon account. I still send in about two to 4 shipments per week. Sometimes, one, but my Amazon business is doing really well. Ian says, build it, they will come. I just want to make sure if I build it, that there's actually, people who are interested in it. I want to make sure that it's an actual need. I notice that the market doesn't have it, but I want to make sure that there's actually a market for it and people will be interested in it. So that's why I'm asking you guys. Joshua says you are a very honest seller and would be able to show people a real good value approach. Yeah, I appreciate that, Joshua. I'm not the biggest seller. I'm just an average guy who knows his stuff and is very passionate about clothing. And, I come across people all the time who they would die for an extra $300 a month, $500 a month, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month. They would literally die for it. And that's the type of course that I want to create. I don't want to create a course that promises you millions because that's BS, right? I want to create a course that promises you an extra $200 a month, $500 a month, or up to $1,000 to $2,000 a month, because that's realistically what I've been able to do. When I was full-fledged in the trenches, and that's the only thing I was doing, I was making between $2,000 to $4,000 a month profit. That's it. So that's my biggest promise right there. So, I think it's a lot of nonsense when you see these courses come out. You're going to make 20 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand, which is definitely possible. I mean, if you get into wholesale private label, that is definitely a possibility. But I think it's important, if you ever do create a course or an ebook, make sure that you can fulfill your promise on the back end. And there's so many courses out there who promise huge dreams, and people know it's BS, like these late night commercials and stuff. I think that the market needs someone who comes in and says, listen, here's a way to make 200 a month. Here's a way to make 500 a month or an extra 1,000 a month. That's what I want. And that's what I want to build. Trader Al says Steve is the real deal, not the guy who incorporates his car in every video. Hey, if you got a nice car, show it off. I don't show off my car because it's a Hyundai Sonata. Slowest moving product you ever had on Amazon FBA? Probably, when I came across that huge CD haul from New York when I was on my, I think it was a 30 or 90-day trip. I sold out of a lot of the items. I probably made, $3,000 to $4,000 in total, but there were some CDs that just sat forever and I had to get rid of them. They just wouldn't sell. What's your average profit on eBay per month? So she says, clearing clutter for clarity says confused on your description. So pretty much what I said in my description was, let me read it for you. Over the last 4 years, I've been able to make a full-time income, 2 to 4K profit. So when I was going full-time, like I was saying before, when I was going full-time with clothing, I was making $2,000 to $4,000 a month profit. There were some months I did $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 in gross. But typically, on average, if you were to average all my months when I was full-time, which was a couple of years ago, I was doing $2,000 to $4,000 per month profit. Nowadays, clothing, like I said, it's a supplement to my income. I sell a lot of various types of products. I run a membership group. I'm making lots of YouTube videos. I sell on Amazon. I sell locally, Kindle publishing. I do a bunch of stuff. So clothing's, it's a tool in my in the shed, if you want to call it that. It's an item that I look for amongst hundreds of other products. So nowadays with clothing, it could be a couple hundred a month. It could be a couple thousand a month. It just really depends on how hard I'm going. And it really, it just depends on how many items I list and how many items I source. With eBay, with Amazon, with all these, platforms, it's not passive. It's not like Merch by Amazon where you could put up 100, items, and then one month you could sell 500, and then maybe the next month you don't do anything and you make $800 because it's Q4. With eBay and Amazon, you get what you put into it. There's no passive income at all, if you're doing traditional just thrift store, garage sale sourcing and sending items in. So it just depends on how much effort I put forth clearing clutter. I'm just looking through some of the comments right now. Dutch Week says, "What up, Raiken? I'm watching you. Uh, you taught me multitasking, so I'd buy it." FBA reseller says clothes can be a waiting game for the right buyer. Suits can take a while. Yeah, when it comes to clothing, there's items that sell extremely fast, and then you have those midterm items that can sell within 2 weeks to a month and a half, and then you have items that could take 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. Clothing's it's a little different, right? It's a little different than other types of reselling because you come across like video games. A lot of that stuff sells just super, super quick. Clothing, you've got to find the right buyer to come along. They've got to not only like the brand, but they've got to like the pattern. They've got to like the design, the fit, the measurements. There's so many different factors. So, certain items are quicker than others, right? But I love clothing because it's abundant, it's in demand. I don't think that people are going to stop wearing clothes anytime soon. And if you go to these retail stores, they cost so much money. So people want to come on eBay and get these deals. They don't want to spend 200, 300, 400, $500 on a Ralph Lauren or a Brooks Brothers suit. They want to come on eBay and pay $125, right? So, if you live in America, there's so many opportunities with clothing, especially at thrift stores. It's going to vary based on where you live, but that's why I love clothing, right? New Frontier Business says suits are great in terms of margins. You just have to know what to look for. Exactly. Laptop Drop Top says, I would like to get into clothing. Harder for thrift to go through. it all versus electronics. Yeah, that's another reason why I love selling clothing, because there's so much of it. It's, whenever you have a product that's abundant, right? Whether it's typically, when I think of abundant products in a thrift store, I think of a couple things. I think of clothing, number one, clothing and books. So that's one and two. And then I think of like other types of media like CDs and DVDs. Whenever you have an abundance of items that takes, a lot of manpower to be able to sort through, there's going to be mistakes that are made, right? There's going to be mistakes. And if you guys have been following my channel, or even if you've been following my latest garage sale finds videos lately. I mean, I've been scoring big time. True Religion items for $1. I picked up an LL Bean leather jacket for $2. People just don't think clothing has value. And so many resellers, they're passing up these clothing items. And, at times clothing can be dry. At times you go into a thrift store and you only find an item or you don't find an item. It's just like anything else in life. But I think that every single reseller, if you're a part-time reseller or if you're a full-time reseller, you need to learn the clothing game, right? And I want to create a course that can teach somebody, within a day or two. Go through the course, and now you've got yourself a good foundation. It's like going to, it's going to take like a class in a university or something. You learn it, you've got it, you're educated, and if you come across, an LL Bean, leather jacket, to buy it. If you come across a Willis and Geiger, okay, that's an amazing brand, I got to buy it. If you come across a Vineyard Vines vest, it's $3 at a garage sale, to buy it. But so many people, they pass these items up, right? I wish that somebody would create a course not about clothing, but like about antiques from A to Z, like a specific one, like even like glassware. I would take that. But there's so many opportunities out there, but people haven't created them. Unfortunately, I don't know antiques. I don't know glassware. I don't know a lot of these things, but I know clothing. I goddamn know clothing, and I want to build something that can help hundreds, if not thousands of people to make an extra couple $100, a couple, $1,000 if they really want to go full force with it. Unfortunately, clothing, for me, it's a time suck. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. And if you want to make a lot of money, I'm talking, two to 4,000, 5,000, $6,000 profit. I see Ronnie Hart. I see other guys out there doing it. It takes a lot of time and effort, but it's a possibility. And I think clothing's another a great opportunity for another reason, because it's hard work. It is a lot of hard work to go out. You may think that going out and sourcing clothing for 4 to 5, 6 hours is easy, but that's nonsense. It gets tough after a couple of hours, flying through the racks, analyzing brands, inspecting items, checking out, bringing them all into your car. It is a lot of work, but whenever there's something that requires a lot of work and effort, getting home and measuring it, inspecting it, throwing it on the mannequin, wrapping it up, shipping it, anything with a lot of effort, there's going to be an opportunity there, because most people don't want to work. So if you don't mind working, if you don't mind learning, if you don't mind educating yourself in this stuff, there's an opportunity there. So Matt Tresner was asking, and I want to mention really quick, guys, do me a big favor and go into the description. I've created a survey. And if you guys could fill that out, I would greatly appreciate it. That's really going to help me to determine if I should build this or not. And this is all in your hands, guys. This isn't on me. If you guys want to learn this, if you want me to build this for you, if you want me to teach you everything I know, and it's going to be a reasonable price. It's not going to be some $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 course. It really isn't. It's going to be reasonable. It's going to be something that 95% of the people can afford. I'm not looking to make $1 million or make an absolute killing off of it. But it's going to be reasonable, and it's going to be something people can afford, and it's going to help a lot of people out. So I did write some notes down in terms of what I was thinking. So I have like 100 ideas, but I'm just going to name off a couple of them. The most common questions I get. So obviously creating an inventory system, where to source men's clothing, tips for getting inventory cheap, how to analyze clothing while out in the field to determine if it's a good deal, how to look past the brand. And this is really, really big, because I notice a lot of resellers, they hear me say, buy Brooks Brothers, or, buy this brand or buy that brand, but they don't realize that when it comes to clothing, you've got to look way past the brand, because, for example, Coogee, that's a brand where A lot of people think just buy Coogee, buy anything Coogee. No, do not buy everything Coogee. If you find a Coogee sweater, one of those Australian Bill Cosby Biggie sweaters, buy it all day long. If you find a pair of jeans with, crazy embroideries, tons of colors, or maybe it's like size 50 waist, buy it. But there's a lot of stuff Coogee that doesn't necessarily do that well. And that's the type of stuff I want to teach, looking past the brand. Um, how to inspect clothing, before you purchase it, how to measure all various types of clothing from blazers to sport coats to suits to jeans to shirts to dress shirts. How to list your items from step 1 to step 10, going through the whole entire process. eBay photography, all the equipment I use, all the basic supplies I use, return policies, handling times, restocking fees, creating item descriptions. Should you sell items with flaws? Should you wash your clothes? How to deal with returns? Should you charge for shipping? How to get great feedback? Creating a listing routine, creating a sourcing routine, how to research products, the best brands to buy and sell, brands to avoid. I mean, the list goes on and on. Creating efficiencies in your workspace, opening your eBay store, how to increase sales, running sales, how to deal with items that aren't selling. So, I mean, I could keep going for another 10 minutes, but there's so many things out there that people are asking questions about and need help with. But the problem is you go to a channel like mine, I have 1,000 videos. How are you going to find what you want? There's so much noise out there in this reselling community. It's actually becoming a problem in a sense because who do you listen to? How do you find the information that you want? Everything's so scattered, it's so unorganized. The value that I've always found in courses, right? And I'm investing in courses. I invest in conferences. I'm going to a conference in 5 or 6 days. I'm going to Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale, if I could say that correctly. I'm going to the Seller Summit. I'm spending, almost $2,000 on the seminar, on the flight, on the hotel, because I believe in this stuff. I don't just preach education. But back to my point, I find the value in courses because everything's organized, everything's in one place. You go from not knowing anything to be able to sit down for 2 hours a night for a week or two and being able to learn the entire process. You don't have to jump from channel to channel, to blog, from Google search to Google search. So that's why I want to build it. I want your feedback, guys. Let me know if you think it's a ridiculously stupid idea, if you don't think there's any value in it, if you believe that nobody should invest in education and nobody should take a course, feel free to express it. I'm not here to, you know, try to sway you or to convince you or to sell you on, you say, yes, Steve, you should build it. Yes, yes, yes. I'm not a yes man. I just want your honest feedback, and I respect everybody's feedback. There's no wrong answer. I believe that everyone should have their own opinion. So let me know. Um, Feel free to fill out the Google survey down below. And yeah, that would definitely mean a lot to me. I appreciate it. Can you make $2,500 a month selling clothing? Yes, you definitely can. And there's quite a few people on YouTube who are already doing it. And I was doing it at one point. Obviously I was full time. I was spending 30 to 40 hours per week. But it's also going to depend on where you live as well and what model that you approach the business. But it's definitely possible. So New Frontier Businesses, I easily make $2,500 selling clothing per month. So we've got somebody in the comments already doing it. What are some profitable brands for neckties? Type in selling ties on eBay, Raiken Profit. I actually have a video where I share, I think, 20 or 30 brands. So check that out. So yeah, there's a lot of comments coming in. Hey, I appreciate it, Larissa Fication. Thank you, thank you. Numa says, Steve, get off YouTube and go list. You got tons of ish that needs to be listed. I actually, one thing that I've been doing lately, and I made a video earlier today saying that I list on my phone nowadays, and that's, I think it's crazy for anyone who lists on their like desktop or tablet. I don't have anything against it, but I like selling. I like listing on a phone because it's so seamless and easy. But I was actually just sitting down watching a movie earlier, and I was on my phone, and I've been doing this new thing where, like, I don't know if you can see it. Let me see if I could show you. Uh, so I've got some clothing right here on the table. I had like 5 pieces of clothing, and then I had, I don't know, some random little things over there. What I've been doing is Like if I'm like watching a movie or doing something and I don't feel like going downstairs and doing like the whole entire listing process, I'll actually start the listing. So like I'll create the title, I'll create part of the description, fill in the item description, the item specifics, fill out all the relevant information that needs to be filled out, and then I'll save it as a draft. So I did that for like 10 items. And then what I'm going to do tonight after I get off this call with you is I'm going to go into the draft. Everything's going to be filled out, and all I have to do is take the pictures. So that's a cool little tip for you folks. If you don't feel like going into your office space and going through the whole listing process, you can watch a movie and, kind of work on your eBay business. Just, fill out, the price, do, your formatting, your title, your description, all that stuff, get everything all ready and save it as a draft. And then you could bang out the 10 listings in like 15, 20 minutes. So that's one thing that I've been doing. It's been pretty cool. Clear and Clutter for Clarity says that's exactly what I do. Awesome. Second coming, how much cost will you teach us? I'm not 100% sure. I was thinking probably 47 or 97 bucks or somewhere around there. In that range, probably not more than $100, something less. It's going to be a really, really large course. In the past, I've created ebooks, little guides that I've charged 20 bucks for. This is going to be much larger. It's going to be pretty extensive. So if I decide to do it, it's up to you guys. I put a survey down below, so you let me know. But it's definitely going to be affordable. It's not going to be 500 bucks or 1,000 or anything like that. Joseph says, thanks for all your time you put in helping others. You're inspiring, bro. At times it seems a pain, but when I hear and see sellers like you, I have hope. That's what this channel's about, because it gets lonely at times. I'm not going to lie. A couple times a month, like I get super lonely, and it's like, you're by yourself, you're running your business. And at times, you need to have that interaction. So that's why I like this channel. I like to interact. I like to help others and motivate others and connect and learn. And, that's really what the channel is all about, educating you guys, trying to add value. And, I love the connection that we get to build together. So I definitely appreciate you guys as well. Sorry guys if I'm missing some comments. It's just there's a lot of comments that are coming in. Let's see. Sounds like you have too many ideas for one course. Should break it into chapters. So I'm just giving you guys the ideas. Obviously, I would break it into phases and organize it. I've written quite a few books myself, and usually before you write a book, you have all the ideas down, and then you break it down into little phases and chapters. So if you guys do like this idea, do me a big favor and hit the like button. I definitely would appreciate that. If you do me another big favor, fill out the survey down below in the description, and I'll let you guys know. I'll keep you guys posted if I'm going to move forward with this idea. But yeah, with that being said, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Thanks for being a subscriber to this channel. And really, my ultimate goal is to add as much value as possible. I want to help you guys. I want to share the knowledge that I've been able to accumulate. I want to teach you guys pretty much how I've been able to work for myself, over the last 4 years, how I've been able to build so much more freedom, have so much more time to spend with my family, to work out, to do the things I enjoy. And I think really at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, creating the freedom to be able to enjoy your life and, spend time doing the things that really matter most. So yeah, with that being said, thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.